According to Men's Health, Eddie Hall said going vegan made his body wither away. Oh no, a nutritionally clueless person thinks it's impossible to be strong as a plant-based eater. Sadly, many impressionable people that lack the ability to think for themselves will take this former world's strongest man's perspective as gospel, simply because of his physical abilities. From my perspective as a former personal trainer and nutritionist, he did well in his sport not because of his diet, but in spite of it.
So I'm going to have a protein shake and that.
Speaking exclusively to Men's Health, Hall revealed that there's no chance he would ever consider getting all those calories from a vegan diet, and revealed how he felt his body was withering away during a short experiment with veganism. Number one, he never did an experiment with veganism. Although there is a dietary aspect, veganism is not a diet. Veganism is a way of living which seeks to exclude as far as possible all forms of exploitation and cruelty to animals. What he means to say is that he ate a diet devoid of animal products. Well, that certainly wasn't my experience. Nor that of Patrick Baboumian, who holds the Guinness World Record for the 10-meter yoke walk at 555 kilograms. The largest weight ever carried by a human on record. A few years ago, my training partner was one Mr. Barney Duplessis, who at the time was the reigning Mr. Universe. He went vegan after a conversation we had and said it was nothing but a benefit to him. You've got Kendrick Farris, the most powerful Olympic lifter that America has ever produced. And many vegans have competed in the IFBB, the world's premier bodybuilding federation. At the end of the day, I'm a 156 kilo man. I'm one of the biggest men in the country, and you're not going to maintain that being vegan. That would put a massive hindrance on my performance. Well, maybe if you don't know enough about nutrition, it could. Hall says that when he tried the diet for like 3 or 4 days, he felt his strength and size was falling away. Which was it, 3 or 4 days? I feel like an elite athlete would have more of a handle on such serious matters. That's if it ever happened. And felt his size and strength slipping away? Again, were it me, I'd be like, oh, I lost 10 kilos off my maximum bench press, or oh, my body weight suddenly went down by 6 pounds. And I'm not a competitive athlete, just a recreational lifter. Something doesn't add up to me. Admittedly, it's not a huge amount of adaptation time, but it just didn't suit me, he says. No shit, his colon would be full of pathogenic Bacteroides bacteria that feed on meat and dairy and cause disease, by the way. He would have had insufficient of the healthy Prevotella strains of gut bacteria that process plant matter, no doubt causing all sorts of issues. We should allow a few weeks for transition, after which time the Prevotella strains of gut bacteria would be dominant, seriously raising one's health potential. After all, only about 1% of the genes that instruct the metabolic processes that keep us alive belong to our human cells. 99% belong to the bacteria that we invite to live in the colon, predicated on what we eat. Choose wisely, or keep eating animal products and processed junk. If you'd like to optimize your health, body shape, or performance with a vegan diet, then please check out my new online nutrition course. I've launched it at a low introductory price. It contains 14 videos, 2 cookbooks, and masses of downloadable and printable PDFs, including a complete nutrition chart for all ages and stages of life, so you can be sure that the whole family is thriving. Also, apart from not taking nearly enough time before making a judgment, when he says that it didn't suit him, it's as though he thinks there's only one specific way that you have to eat as a vegan. There are 1,000,001 different iterations of a plant-based diet. Yes, it is entirely possible to eat inadequately as a vegan. Vegan only tells me what you're not eating, animals, and the shit that comes out of them. You could be a vegan and eat nothing. It's not rocket science. Eat enough calories, eat enough protein, which only plants make, by the way, and eat enough of a range of food that you're getting all your vitamins and minerals. Still, Hall is keen to point out that he's not against veganism altogether. His wife eats a lot of vegan meals and is probably best described as a flexitarian. Instead of veganism, you could say kindness to animals. I know it wasn't his meaning, but he was basically saying, I'm not against kindness to animals altogether. It's actually not far out though. The truth is that he funds animal abuse at every single meal. At least he's okay with his wife not doing it every single time though. But by the way, if you think it's a bit harsh to call the imprisonment, exploitation, mutilation and killing of animals abuse, then that's a sure sign that you're their oppressor. Swap places with your victims. I guarantee a much clearer viewpoint. Hall thinks that while it's good to reduce the amount of meat you eat, it's hard to maintain strength and muscle on a diet that includes no meat at all. It'd certainly be good for him. Check out this past video.
Then we're looking at things like oxidized low-density lipoprotein, which is another predictor of cardiovascular disease. And again, this will come from inside the arterial walls, okay? So they're being sort of neutralized by macrophages, they become oxidized, and they become very pro-arterogenic. So again, much more likely to cause problems within the narrowing of the arteries and eventually causing some potential problems down the line with a heart attack or a stroke.
Shocker.
So then we look at things like your cholesterol, your triglycerides, and yeah, they're all elevated.
No way.
But the big markers for us is the LDL particle number, so low density lipoprotein particles.
Right, so nearly double.
Yeah,
it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, you're nearly 3 times over.
These are the most damaging of the LDL particles. LDL is the only critical risk factor for getting heart disease, our #1 killer. Where are you? I would be terrified right now. For me to maintain the strength and power I need, I just think it's impossible to keep that size and strength and be a vegan. So I have to get my meat in me. I have to get my meat in me. Impressive. I understand that there's very few men that can do that. It's not your meat, it's the stolen flesh of a once living, breathing, feeling being who died in fear and agony. So I have to get my meat in me for the protein side of things, the amino acids and everything, says Hall. Protein, amino acids and everything. What everything? The protein and amino acids that are kind of the same thing? Where do you think the animals get the amino acids that form the proteins of their flesh? From plants. Except that by eating the plants directly, you cut out the middle moo and avoid all the sat fat, trans fats and cholesterol that lead to the #1 cause of death in human beings. I'm a big believer in less meat is good for you, but cutting meat out completely is a big no-no. Oh yeah? Here's my protein intake just from my vegan breakfast this morning. Can you tell me which essential amino acid I'm lacking in, please? Only from my perspective, it looks as though I've smashed each and every one of them, including the important branched-chain amino acids, isoleucine, leucine, and valine. Now click this.